Om Shuklam Bharadram Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये यस्यात्मभूतस्य गुरुप्रसादात् अहं विमुक्तोऽस्मि शरीरबन्धात् सर्वोपदेष्टु पुरुषोत्तमस्य तस्यान्ग्रे पद्मप्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् प्रह्लादनारदपराशर पुण्डरीकव्यासामृष सुखसौनकभीष्मदल्व्यान् रुक्माङ्ग उदव विभीषण पल्गुनादीन् पुण्यानिमं परमभागवतं नमामि जन्मादि अस्य यतो अन्वयाद् इतरसच्च अभिज्ञास्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदय आदिहवये मुह्यन्ति यः सूरयः तेजो वारिमृतां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकोऽहं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मप्रोचितकैतव अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृत किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते अत्र कृतभिः शुश्रूषविचक्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखम् अमृतं ध्रुव संयुक्तं विवत भागवतं रसमालयमुरौ रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतः सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी वासुदेव परा वेदा वासुदेव परामकाः वासुदेव परा योगा वासुदेव परा क्रियाः वासुदेव परं ज्ञानं वासुदेव परं तपः वासुदेव परो धर्म वासुदेव परा गतिः कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामदुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे सत्यं विधातुं निजभृत्य भाषितम्. So this is what we learned so far in past few classes before we took the break. That is to keep up the promise. Let me mute. Yeah. So to keep up the promise that is devotees made, the Lord goes to the extreme of fulfilling that promise, fulfilling those promises. Brahma went to Vishnu along with all those devatas who are having tough time with Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, who was a demon. So therefore, they all went, and the Lord promised that He will certainly protect them. Next, Prahlad said to his father, when his father asked, "Where does God exist? Where is your God? Is He here? Is He there? How do you get these powers?" So for all these questions, Prahlad said, "Yes, God exists everywhere." Well, the Z exists in this particular pillar. What do you mean? What do you mean by this particular pillar? He exists not only in this pillar, he exists in all the pillars, not only in this hall, but even in other pillars and elsewhere. So he's present in all the pillars if that is what you're asking for. Well, that's not what I'm asking for. It's okay, but I want to know if he is present in this particular one pillar. And Prahlad said, of course, when he can be present in all the pillars, he's also present in this particular pillar. The reason that he was asking that on this particular pillar is because when Hiranyakashipu built this wonderful great palace, puts all his wealth, this particular pillar is where he personally was present and helping in making that pillar, that one particular pillar. So therefore, he is very sure he was there, he was present there, and nothing went inside the pillar, whereas he is not sure about the other pillars. So this particular pillar is concerned about because he knows there is no God in that one, because he is the one who built this particular pillar. So he asked, what about this pillar? And Prahlad said, of course he is present in this pillar also. God is everywhere. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matas sarvam pravartate. Everywhere he is present. There's no place where he is not present. It is only that we cannot see where he is present. Therefore, I tell this one particular story. There's a great devotee in Karnataka, was a great devotee in Karnataka. His name was Kanakadasa, a great, wonderful devotee of the Lord over there in Udupi. In northern part of the Karnataka, there's a place called Udupi, and there's a beautiful deity of Krishna. And this Kanakadasa was very devoted to Krishna. So his guru also likes him so much. But other disciples of the guru, they felt that our guru is giving more importance to Kanakadasa, who was by birth low born. By birth is low born, because the story is going to get connected to the next things that we are going to see in this canto. So now they are all not happy that the guru is focused more on Kanakadasa, giving some importance. But understanding that the disciples are not happy and they don't understand about Kanakadasa, the Guru asked all the disciples one day to come, and he said, I have some service for all of you. The disciples were very dedicated. They're all good devotees. They are wonderful disciples. But among devotees, among disciples, sometimes there could be a competitive, envious nature that comes in. Okay, even if you are practicing spirituality, there is some enmity or a envious nature comes, especially when someone is doing better than you. Okay, especially if they are being glorified by others. This person is so wonderful, he's so nice, he's so good in giving classes, or he's so good in singing songs. So when we hear, oh, what about me? I'm also singing better than him. Why not me? What did he never went through any classical training or classes, anything, but I went through. Is he better than me? This person doesn't even know Sanskrit. I know Sanskrit. He doesn't even know how to quote slokas. I know slokas. Then we start comparing things. The envious nature pops in, right? That doesn't mean that the person who's envious is bad, but because of the purva karma vasana, this person has to work more towards himself to remove that anarthas. It will take over. It will take some time, but it will go off. Nothing to worry about it. Like that, the disciples of the Guru were also having some envious nature towards Kanakadasa, and the Guru called for everyone, said, I have a service for you all. What is it you want, my dear Guru? We are ready to do. And the Guru had a lot of, we don't get a chance to see those things here in Snooks or Deerbergs or even in Costco and Sam's. But what happens, the banana, now the bananas all comes in the boxes. It gets transferred from California or different places, comes here. We go and buy these bananas. But in India, they cut the branch one small, long one will have hundreds of bananas. That's how they transfer from one place to another place. So there were many, many such branches, small branches with hundreds of bananas in it. Hundreds of bananas. Each one had hundreds of bananas. And then Guru said, all right, each one of you take one of this, one batch. Each one should take one branch of it and finish all the bananas and come back. And the disciples say, oh, this is the easy one, easy service. We have to eat. That's all we have to do. We will do that one. Guru said on one condition, you have to eat in a place where no one sees you. No one should see you. You should not see anyone. You have to eat and finish this banana and come back. How did you do that? Where did you do it? And then each one that's very easy. That's not a hard job. So each one took one branch of this banana with 100 bananas in it. One went to the top of the mountain. No one was there. Another one climbed a tree with a lot of bushes and branches hid inside and started eating. Another one went into the deep of the well and sat on the steps and then started eating. Another one went to his house, closed all the doors, and then he started eating. Another one went to a forest. So everyone did many, many things. No one were seen. They all finished. They came with an empty branch in their hands back to Guru. Guru asked, what happened? Well, I went into the well and I ate the bananas. Very good. Another one reported, another one reported, another one reported, another one reported. Kanakadasa was missing. Only one was missing was Kanakadasa. From a distance, they could see, all the disciples and the Guru could see, he was walking back with his banana. Whatever he took, he was just walking back, carrying the same set of, not even one banana was empty. He was coming back to the Guru. Everyone was laughing at him. Every single person was laughing at him, telling him, look at him. He can't even satisfy one simple order of our Guru. Very simple order to eat his banana where no one can see him. He can't even fulfill this one. Hopefully, our Guru will understand how great we are, how low that person is. Kanakadasa was crying and coming. He followed the feet of his Guru and asked for forgiveness. Your service that you gave me, assignment that you gave me, I cannot fulfill. I am not worth of being your disciple. Please forgive me. I'm very, very sorry. I'm not good enough to do anything. I'm useless. And the Guru said, why, what happened? Can't you find even one place where no one can see you? You can't eat? Well, I found many places, not one places. I went to many places. I went to the top of the tree. I went to lockdown situation, closed everything. I went to the mountain. I went to the well underneath. I went to different places. So what? You could have finished it. Well, but the condition you said is no one should watch you and no one, you should not see anyone else. That's where the problem is. He said, what? Everyone again laughed. What is he talking? He's gone mad. And Kanakadasa said, there's no place, even in dark place like this, in a dark place, I can see the presence of God in darkness. Okay? I can see him everywhere. I can see that he is looking at me all the time. Wherever I go, wherever I walk, whatever I do, he is looking upon me. He is looking at me, and I can see at him. So I cannot hide myself anywhere when no one can see me. I'm very sorry. When this is told, the Guru started crying. Tears flew from his eyes. All the disciples understood the greatness of Kanakadasa, right? So it's just only we are not able to see the presence of God. That does not mean God is not present anywhere. God is present everywhere. Therefore, Hiranyakashipu could not see presence of God. Nowhere. For him, God is nowhere. Okay? Whereas Prahlad, for him, God is everywhere. God is everywhere. So he said, yes, he's present in this pillar. Well, if he's present in this pillar, which he was 100% sure, 1000% sure, because there's nothing inside. It was just cement and stone and whatever it is, right? That's all it is. So he went and hit the pillar, hit the pillar. Satyam vidhatum nijabritya bhashitham. To keep up the word, the promise of his devotee. The Lord is already present in all the pillars. Because God was not sure which pillar this guy is going to hit. So he already appeared in all the pillars. And now in this pillar he hit. Hiranyakashipu hit. As soon as he hit the pillar, broke open, unusual, unimaginable, adbhuta, amazing for the devotees, fearful for non-devotees. Okay, amazing. It's the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna blew his Panchajanya, his conch shell, it shook the heart of the Kauravas. This we can see in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna blew his conch shell of Panchajanya, the Kauravas' heart was shattered into pieces. That's what it says. The same sound shattered the hearts of Kauravas into pieces. The same sound gave joy and bliss to Pandavas. It's the same sound. For someone it is fearful, fearsome. For someone is pleasing to the ears. Right? So it's just the mentality of how we saw, how we take things, how we see things. Otherwise, everything is same. Everything is same. There's nothing to be in the dealing, in God's dealing. He's being equal to everyone. Samam. Samam means he's equal to everyone. He doesn't differentiate anyone. It is only the other side who's looking upon God, who's seeing the God in whatever the way that see. That's how he's going to reciprocate to them. If you see him as an enemy, he is an enemy for us. If you see him as a friend, he is a friend for us. If you see him as a son, child, he is a child for us. If you see him as your own lover, beloved lover, he is a lover for us, loved one for us. So he takes many, many roles according to the affection, according to the way that we want to pursue our relationship with him. Hiranyakashipu saw him as an enemy, therefore he appeared as an enemy. Not that God has enemies. God doesn't have anyone as enemies. Okay, it is those people who think God has enemies. It's the same thing. When we mature in our spirituality, when we grow up in our Krishna consciousness, we might have many enemies. Not that we see this is enemy and that is my friend. We see everyone equally. But then others might see you as enemy because of their envious nature. That we have no control of it. We can't do anything. Okay? But still, that doesn't stop anyone. One has to progress further. As we progress and progress and progress, then even that person who feels you to be enemy will start appreciating, start appreciating you. Right? So here, Hiranyakashipu saw this fearsome form of the Lord, half lion, half human, Nara Hari. Nara Simha. Nara means human form, human, and Simha means lion form, combined together in one form. We can't even imagine these things, right? Can't even imagine anything like this. Naturally, Lord can do amazing activities that we can't even think of doing these things. If we think we are smart, here is this story in Narsimha Prahlada Charitra. We learn that God is much more smarter than all of us. These are the points we are just recollecting from what we saw 4 weeks back. So please excuse me if it is getting bored, but I just want to emphasize on those important points that we covered from Prahlad Charitra, Narsimha's avatar. That's why I'm repeating some important points here. Now, the thing is that Hiranyakashipu was thinking nowhere God, and Prahlad was thinking God is everywhere. That's the point I'm just trying to drive here. But here, the Lord reciprocated to Hiranyakashipu because Hiranyakashipu wanted to have the relationship as enemy to the Lord. Therefore, Lord accepted that challenge or that relationship. Then he appeared, and then he thought he's very smart. Hiranyakashipu thought he's very smart. Therefore, he worked out all the equation, calculation, and put that I am going to be successful in my life because I am very smart. How did he work out that he's smart? Because he put all the permutation and combination that I cannot be killed by this way, that way, morning time or night time, inside the house or outside the house. I should not be killed by human or animals or any reptiles or snakes or Gandharva or Kinkaras or Yakshas, Devatas. He went on and on and on and on and on and on and on with so many things one can't even imagine. Even we put all the combination. I should not be killed by any weapons. I should not be killed by that which has life, that which does not have life. I should not be killed by anything, Brahma, that you have created. Done. Yes, that's what he said. Brahma was very happy to give all the boons that's been asked by Hiranyakashipu. Even though he was very afraid the way the things was been going on Tatastu, I'll give you this, granted, 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 granted. But then he got his relief. Relief is he knows if this guy, Hiranyakashipu, can be so smart, what about the one who created him? How smart he should be, right? He's smarter than anyone else. Krishna is much more smarter. We don't need to even Jnana, Aishwarya, Shakti, Tejas. He has everything in full, right? Knowledge, wealth, beauty, renunciation, fame, everything in full. Everything in full. We only have little bit of those things. And that too for temporary period of time. And then we start thinking how great I am. Little knowledge we might have, and we think I am better than Vashishta, I am better than Valmiki, I am better than this person, I am better than that devotee. We are thinking ourselves to be great just because we can speak few things, just because I did something, then we start thinking I'm better than that person. But think about God. What we learn from Krishna, even though he created such a unimaginable universes, and we are staying in his house and we still criticize him. Isn't that amazing? See, if you're a owner of a company, or if you're a owner of a company, you're running a big a multinational institute or an organization, okay? And then CEO of the company, if someone is not listening to you, if someone within your organization, your company is speaking bad about you, what will you do? Simple question. It's not a mind-blowing question. Very simple question, simple answer. We all know the answer. If an employee of the company speaks against the company itself, the CEO of the company, what is going to happen to that employee? Obvious answer, right? Will be kicked off, fired, as has been commonly used. The term is he'll be fired. He'll be fired. He can't stay. Everything get disconnected. He can't access anymore. He'll be out. But here the interesting thing is, we are in the company of Krishna, a biggest organization one can ever think of. Everything belongs to him. And we staying in-house, in his house, we are utilizing all his properties, everything we are using that belongs to God, and after eating what is given with the same mouth, we are criticizing him. What a wonderful quality that we have. We means not necessarily you are staying in this call. I'm talking in general, because the world majority of them are, be like this. Many people does not believe in God. Many people speak against God by eating your own God-given food. But what does God do? Even though we speak like that, if God wants, if someone is speaking bad about God, God can immediately, even by sankalpa, by satya sankalpa, all you have to think is, shh. That's all you have to think. That means next word this person who's speaking is not going to come out. He can, if God wanted whoever speaking, he can make them dumb. He can make them handicapped. He can make them suffer. Any of these things, he can punish them immediately, like how we take action immediately on someone who speaks bad about us, right? We want to immediately take action to show them, I have the power, I'm greater than you. But we never see such things in God's quality. He doesn't seem to be reacting to the situation at all. He's simply hearing, he's simply taking it. Go on, go on, go on. That's fine. That's fine. So these are the things that we need to learn here. So if Hiranyakashipu is smarter, the point we are coming back to the same point. If Hiranyakashipu is so smart, one who created Hiranyakashipu, one who was given that jnana, knowledge, how smarter should he be? So that has been proved in the story, where Krishna satisfied Satyam Vidhatum Nijabritya Bhashitam, because Brahma gave a promise to Hiranyakashipu. Yes, granted. You will not be killed inside or outside. Yes, granted. You will not be killed by animal or human. Granted. You will not be killed in the morning or night. Granted. Everything was granted. That means Krishna, the Lord, has to keep up the promise of Brahma, number one. At the same time, he has to keep up the promise that he made to all the devatas that he will kill Hiranyakashipu. That promise also has to be kept up. And the third one is Prahlad said God is present everywhere. That promise also be kept up. Dharma Sankat. This is Dharma Sankat. How can you do everything? How can you keep up everyone's promise? Every promise seems to be contradicting. Each promise seems to be contradicting. He has to kill. At the same time, he should not unfulfill Brahma's promise. He has to be there. At the same time, he should not be there to keep up the promise of Prahlad. So it seemed to be difficult for us to even imagine how we can fulfill and make everyone happy. God can do it. Only Krishna can do it. Therefore, he took this wonderful form of half man and half lion. He just busted out of the pillar, came, took him, and put him on his lap and tore him into pieces. Tore him into pieces. And this is all by satisfying all the promises. It was not morning time, it was not night time, it was during the dusk. He didn't kill inside or outside. He killed near the veranda or the entrance. That's where he killed. He did not become an animal, neither he did not become a human. He took a form of a human and animal combined together, Nara Simha. And he did not use any other resources of devatas, kinkaras, gandharvas, no one's help. He did it by himself. Another thing is that he did not use any weapons. He used his fingers. The finger, which is considered to, he uses nails, which is considered to be having life or doesn't have life. It both ways satisfies. Therefore, with that, he ripped off Hiranyakashipu into piece and finished Hiranyakashipu. After killing Hiranyakashipu, every devatas, everyone who were present there were joyful. They are so very happy. They came close. They were not coming ready to come close to Hiranyakashipu, Narasimhadev. He was still burning with that anger. He's not pacified yet. He's still burning. His eyes were still red hot. Right? No one can get close to him. They were thinking, how are we going to pacify the Lord? How are we going to make him settle down? So everyone were praising, but no one could do anything. Even Lakshmi ji herself was, come on, guys, I never seen my husband like this. Never seen a husband like this. Sometimes husbands gets angry towards their spouse, their wife. Even they cannot exhibit. They can scream to the top of the roof, but no one can take a form of Narasimhadev, right? They cannot do. None of us can do this one. We can only scream and shout and make show our anger. But just imagine, Lakshmi has never seen his own wife, Lord's own wife, never seen such a form in this old time. So she said, "Excuse me, guys. So I'm not going to go close to my husband. This is very very scary. I cannot go close." So Brahman thought, well, this is all just because to keep up the promise, Satyam Vidatum Nijabhritya Bhashitam, is to keep up your promise, Prahlad, the Lord has descended into this world just for your sake. Because we were also suffering all this while. Hiranyakashipu was giving us hard time to all the munis, rishis, devatas, and everyone. He never came down that time. He did not come. But then when he was trying to, when Hiranyakashipu was trying to harm you, that's when the Lord descended. Therefore, he took a special attention towards you. It's you who are the cause of getting the Lord here. So, you please go. You are the only one who can pacify the Lord. Pacify the Lord. Prahlad did not say, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm also very scared, I'm afraid." No, he didn't. He didn't see the fearsome form of the Lord. He can only see the beautiful form of this Lord. Adbhutam, very beautiful form of the Lord. He went closer and started uh, uh, praising the Lord with so many beautiful, 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 beautiful stotras. Very nice stotra. First, the stotra should have, stotra means it should have two things. When we go to the temple, two things we have to do. Very important. What is that? When you go to the temple, two things we have to do. One thing is make sure your prasadam has been made order, right? So that once right you go there, you don't need to stay in the queue. You can take quickly your prasadam bag and go. Number one is when you go there, to talk to people about how life is, uh, how's their job going, and how's their family problems, or all those different, and so many different topics, right? We gossip and we look for some sense gratification. In the temple, there's two things. This is not what we are supposed to do when we go to the temple. When we go to the temple, the purpose of we going to temple, and especially when we go in front of the deities, in front of God, two things we have to do. What are the two things? Number one, first of all, we have to pray, right? The prayer should have two things. Number one, that is accepting the mistakes of us, how fallen I am, how unqualified I am, how hopeless I am, even to follow what's been told in Bhagavad Gita, to apply to some of these things. I'm in such a pathetic situation, condition. So accepting our mistakes. And the second thing is glorifying the Lord. Okay, these are the two things that we have to go when we go in front of the Lord. Accepting how fallen we are and accepting the greatness of Krishna. This is all we need to do when we go to the temple. We have to do. There's a there's a there's one incident which happened many years back. One great devotee, his name was Parasara Bhatta in Sri Rangam, in southern part of India, a place called Sri Rangam, where Lord Vishnu is lying down in his lying down pose, right? So Parasara Bhatta was giving class. Hundreds of his disciples and people were sitting there. Many people were hearing his lecture. So he was giving class. But Parasara Bhatta, the way he is a great, very devoted person, great person, wonderful person. Right? But he wears gold chain, a big, thick gold chain with diamonds in it. He wears bangle with stones. He wears earrings. Okay, he was fully loaded. He was fully very opulent to see. He was giving class. Class is we are not this body. We are spirit soul. Aham, mamakara, ahankara. These are dangerous. One should not be attached to material things. One should give up things. Okay. He was telling all the different wonderful messages to the audience sitting there. Four people got up from the audience. At the end of the class, he asked any questions. Everyone were quiet. But four people got up from the audience. They said, you spoke about many points. We are not the body. We should not be attached for material things. We should not be having sense enjoyment, etc., etc. But what about you? Look at you. Have you ever looked upon yourself in the mirror? How you look? What is this? All this gold things and everything, etc., etc. All those different things. So Parasara Bhatta in his class, after he explained, he was going on speaking about glories of Krishna. He was part by part. Krishna's eyes are like lotus, his mouth is lotus mouth, his ears are lotus. He was just explaining so much. Therefore, get attracted to Krishna. Don't get attracted to material things. So these people asked him, you speak nicely all this thing, but you seem to be having all this thing yourself. How can you speak about all this? So they were not happy and they were criticizing Parasara Bhatta. Parasara Bhatta immediately got up from his seat, right? He got up from his seat. It was us, myself, right? What would we do? Who are you to speak? What do you know? Get out of here. This is my ashram. This is my place. Get out of here. You are my disciple and you're speaking like this. Get out of. One might speak like that. But Parasara Bhatta immediately got up from his seat and went to these people with whatever he had, that gold chain and garlands, the flower garland he took, and he put on each and every one. He gave everything to those people. Tell, well said, very nice. And he came back to his seat. And the four people who criticized Parasara Bhatta was completely bewildered. If this is another important thing that we should learn. If someone is criticizing us, do good thing for that person. They'll feel shameful. They will feel shameful, right? Someone is coming and doing something bad to us, and we try to do good thing for them all the time. It's a shame for that person who is doing bad for you. Another way of shutting that person or changing that person, rather than taking the negative side of saying he's behaving like this, I will also behave the same way. It is not a solution all the time in the world. It's going to create more breaks. It's going to create more friction in the relationship. We are going to have pretty much everyone as our enemy. That's what's going to happen, right? That's where we'll end up finally. So there's another approach we can do. Someone is doing something bad to you, you try to be good to that person. Okay, that does not mean if someone is, please don't challenge me with questions of what in case if someone is coming and trying to shoot you, do I have to go get a piece of pizza and give it to him? Please use our intelligence in what I'm saying, not to challenge back and saying this is applicable. We have to use intelligence. I'm talking about normal relationships that we have with people in society, those type of relationship, not the extreme case. So here Parasara Bhatta did like this one and he came back to the seat. Now, all the disciples were thinking, wow, is the way that we can get appreciation, attention? Must seem to be much easier. All we have to do is criticize our guru, Parasara Bhatta, and he will appreciate us. They were thinking like this. But Parasara Bhatta, without even anyone asking anything, Parasara Bhatta went back to the seat and he said, he thanked those four people saying, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Why? It is a duty of any devoted person to do two things when he is praying to God, when he is speaking about God. Two things has to be done. Number one, praise about God all the time. Praise the Lord. Number two, accept your faults. In my class today, Parasara Bhatta speaking, in my class today, throughout the class, I was praising the Lord. I was just keep on praising the Lord. But I failed to accept my faults, my condition. But you four really reminded me and helped me and brought out my bad qualities. Therefore, what I need to speak, you spoke. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. So this is the point. The point is for us to understand that we have to do this thing. This is a practice. Rather than we look on the other's fault, we start looking inward. What fault do I have? Or what qualification do I have to say something about others? Am I working on myself first? When I start working on myself first, then we might start seeing things differently around the world. The other person is just doing because of his karma, the complete vasanas carried by many years. So it's an important point to practice and remember. So Prahlad went to the Lord, he accepted and he prayed the greatness of the Lord. And then after doing that one, he also initially he spoke about himself, where he is not qualified to do or pray or praise the Lord because of his the birth where he's born, because of his limitation, because of his age, because of all this reason, he felt he is not qualified. But then he took this as a service given by Brahma. Brahma told, you go and do this one. Therefore, I'm coming and doing this one. And he praised the Lord. The Lord becomes so very pleased, so very happy. And he asked, my dear Prahlad, please tell me what you want. What you want. And Prahlad said, my dear Lord, I don't want to ask anything. I'm pretty happy with what I have. I'm content in my life. Prahlad, please ask me for some boon. I know you are completely satisfied inward, but I, for my satisfaction, the Lord is speaking, for my satisfaction, please ask something. Prahlad said, my dear Lord, my father, please forgive him. Forgive him for whatever he did out of his ignorance. Kindly forgive him. Narasimhadev said, Prahlad, ask for something else. Because you are my devotee, your father has already been forgiven and taken care. So do not worry about that part. Ask something else. And Prahlad asked, my dear Lord, if you insist me to ask some boon, let me ask you. Give me a boon where I will never ever ask a boon from you. Amazing. And this is a 5-year-old boy who is speaking these things, right? How many 5 years that we have in our, whom we know is who speaks like this, right? It's amazing. This is Prahlad. That's why Prahlada, Narada, Parasara, Pundarika, Vyasamrisha, Sukha, Saunika, Bhishma Dalbyan. Prahlad has been taken as the topmost devotee in Bhagavatam, right? Because, just imagine he's asking for a boon where he doesn't need to go in front of the Lord and ask for another boon. That means he accepted whatever comes in his life as boon of Krishna, Lord Narasimhadev. Whether it is from our standard, it seemed to be rosy or it seemed to be thorny, doesn't matter. Whether it's roses or thorns, Prahlad accepted both equally as prasad, as mercy of God. Because he knows if God is giving us thorns, it is for us to mature nicely in our life. It is not to punish us. It is not to test us. It is not to give hard time to us. It is for our own good. So Prahlad understood why even I need to ask boon from you, my Lord. I don't want to ask anything because I'm already booned. I don't know if that's the right English term called booned. I just came up with that word. But I'm already been given everything more than what I need. You have given everything in my life. I don't want anything more than this. More than this. There was in Chaitanya Charitamrita, another beautiful literature depicts about the biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's one character, personality, Vasudeva. Uh, for whatever the reason, he had this disease, leper. Leper means it's a disease, a skin disease. The bones were melting off, and the hand becomes like this. You don't see that many here, but I don't even know what that called the name. Maybe Ashok Prabhu, do you know what that's called? Leprosy. Leprosy, right? Is it right? Leprosy.
Leprosy, yes.
Leprosy. Thank you. So leprosy. So this person was a nice devotee, but he got leprosy. His bones were melted, his hands were like this, and no one can go close to him. If a person has leprosy, you don't go close to that person. It's disgusting. So this is a devotee who had this one. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was traveling around, he came to this place and he saw this leprosy person, Vasudeva, and he understood this is not an ordinary person, he is a great devotee. And then he went close by and embraced him. After he released him, all the disease and everything is gone. He got a beautiful form, wonderful golden form, very attractive form. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, I'm very pleased by your bhakti and devotion. Please ask me for a boon. What do you want? And he said, let me get back my leprosy. Let me go back to how I was before. That's much safer and much better than this beautiful form that I have. Right? I don't want this form, because if I'm like this, then I will start thinking I'm so handsome, I'm young. Look at my glowing face now. Okay, let me put the light here. Glowing face. So I'm very, people are appreciating how glowing I am and it's nice and etc etc. So I might forget you and God get into the bodily program, sense gratification, attachment to things, attachment to the body. So my dear Lord, I request you, if you want to give me a boon, let me go back to how I was before. Right? So this is all great devotees. They're all great devotees that we can learn a lot of things. That doesn't mean that we have to go in the temple and ask for let me become a leprosy. We don't want to do things artificially, but accept our position, what we are, how we are. So Prahlad was asking that, my dear Lord, I don't want anything. I'm happy, I'm content with what I have. I don't want anything. And then he said, my dear boy, I know you don't want anything. Ask something. At least something you should ask. I don't want to go empty. Don't want to go just like that, not giving you anything. If at all I have to, if at all you want to give me something, my Lord, let me be. If at all I have to take another birth, if I have to take another birth, let me be born. Uh, Even if I have to take a birth as a boneless being, like a worm, even if I have to take a birth as a boneless being, let me take birth in your devotee's house. Okay. If at all you want to give me a boon, this is what I'm asking. I don't want to leave the association of your devotees. That's all I want. Your devotees association is what I'm looking for. Even if I take a birth of a worm which doesn't have bones, I don't mind. Let me be born there. The reason is that because as we are, if we get associated with the devotees, our life is success. There's no question, maybe or may not. Our life is successful. And we have seen in many stories in Puranas and Itihasas how by the association of devotees, one's life have completely changed. Their consciousness have changed. Their behaviors have changed. The way of thinking has changed. It is powerful. It's very powerful. So as much as possible, we take opportunity of association of nice devotees. That is what Prahlad was asking for. Narsimhadev was so very pleased. And he said, continue ruling this kingdom. And then you come back to me after that. Everyone departed to their respective place, praising Prahlad, praising Narsimhadev. And Narsimhadev went back. And Prahlad took over the kingdom. He started ruling the kingdom. When a person like Prahlad rules a kingdom, then we can imagine how the kingdom will be, how the citizens will be, how things will be. Everything is Krishna consciousness. Everything is God consciousness. People were having a happy life because the leader is God conscious. If the leader is not God conscious, obviously there's going to be problem. We are going to have difference of opinions. People will be fight. People will be killing each other. Fight will go on. How much ever we try to bring unity between countries, nations, people, none of those going to work because the leaders are godless. If the leaders are godless, the citizens, the outcome, everything is going to be godless. Godless does not mean that God is not present there. The people consciousness is godless. Just because me saying godless, it doesn't mean that God is not there. Even in that godless word, God is present. So God is present everywhere, everywhere. How can we say God is not there? Even to say God is not there, we have to use the word called God. Therefore, God is present everywhere in whatever things we are. So understanding that Prahlad was leading a wonderful kingdom under his leadership, everything was progressing very nicely, very nicely. And later we'll see that one story that Prahlad, in later part of the following chapter, we will see how Prahlad himself meets with a saint and learns something from that saint. This is all after the fact. After this, he's grown, he's ruling the kingdom, he goes to the forest, he meets with some saint and learns something. We'll see all those things in our next class. This is what we covered so far, and we have a few more chapters to cover. The rest of the chapters, if you remember, Narada Muni is spoke about Prahlad's story to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Narada Muni telling story to Yudhishthira Maharaj of Prahlad is told to Parikshit by Shukadeva Goswami. What Shukadeva Goswami told to Parikshit Maharaj is told by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. Please do not forget where we started and where we are right now. So this is not over yet. Now Yudhishthira Maharaj is going to ask a beautiful question. He's going to ask a question that how can one advance spiritually? Spiritual advancement. How can one make a spiritual advancement? And rest of the chapters on this particular Canto 7 is answering that particular question, how one should progress spiritually towards God. That will be the topic that will end this canto, and we'll be starting the 8th canto after we finish these sessions. I would like to stop here at this point. Just want to recap what we have covered so far and what is coming up next. So if there's any questions or discussions or any corrections in what I said, kindly please unmute and share. Thank you. I saw few chat messages while I was, let me read few things. Thank you for what you do for us. Oh, so, okay, that's fine. So there's no any questions there. Oh, Gopal Prabhu. With one bone, I would ask for 1,000. Okay. Thank you. You're accepting, this is one of the quality of devotees, right? Accepting themselves, what they are. So you have a wonderful quality. Out of 2, you did 1 already, accepting yourself. And second one is praising the Lord. So you're there. Thank you, Gopal Prabhu. Any other discussions, questions? Anyone wants to share something from what you heard today? Any points that you liked? Any points you disagree? Does it make sense? So kindly please speak.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
I like the part when the Kanaka Dasa told the Guru that Krishna sees me everywhere.
Very nice story, right?
Yes,
So how do you?
and even I like the whole class.
Okay, that is all. Thanks goes to Prabhupada and thanks goes to Sukadev Goswami and everyone. But thank you. But my question is, so how do you apply that concept of seeing God everywhere? How are you going to do it?
By doing bhakti?
Yeah, but how are you going to do that bhakti? If you see something, how do you see God in that? Say you're studying, right?
Yes,
Okay, how do you study? You use a laptop.
yes.
So how do you see God in your laptop?
Um,
How can you see God, Krishna is present in the laptop? Any thought, Rukmini?
mm,
Any other children here in this class?
We are all children, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Who's speaking?
This is Sharvari.
Shara?
Sharvari.
Sharvali, please tell me.
I think I see Krishna in the laptop as knowledge is Krishna.
As knowledge as Krishna. Thank you so much. Very nice. Very nice. Where do you live?
New Jersey, Prabhuji.
New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining our class and giving nice answer. Really appreciate. So you see there, Krishna's knowledge is present, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wants to add any points? And the laptop.
Prabhuji, I could learn applying Krishna consciousness.
You can use the laptop in applying Krishna consciousness, right? That way,
Yes.
that way you can see Krishna. Thank you, Ruth. That's a good answer. Yes, Anirudh.
I can see Krishna because Krishna gave us the computer only.
Beautiful, Anirudh. Wonderful. So you first of all you have the laptop because Krishna gave you the laptop through your dad and mom. Otherwise, you won't even have the laptop. Therefore, it's Krishna is the one who gave the laptop. You can see this is coming from Krishna. Therefore, the laptop itself, we can consider it is Krishna, Krishna's energy. Thank you, Anirudh. That's beautiful. Very nice. Anyone else? Any other children we have here? By age? Is Mahati here? I see her name here. Mahati? Sai Mahati? Okay.
She's here, Prabhu, but in different class.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Or any other discussion or questions?
So it's Prabhu. It's just that additionally, just I'm a little child also, so just using our possessions for the right cause for use of God. That's really simple.
That's yes, yes. Very, very. If you want to tell everything in one sentence, that's what Ashok Prabhu said.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, what was the question again? I'm back now.
Okay, 1 second, Mahati, 1 second. So Ashok Prabhu was saying, using everything that we have in our possession, in our control, in service of God. So if we can learn that technique, we can be a billionaire. We can be a, doesn't really matter whether you're living in a big mansion or you're living on the floor in a two-bed apartment or single bed apartment. Doesn't really matter. If we know how to utilize those things in service of God, then we have done. We know. We don't have to worry about anything. That's what we need to learn. How to utilize and connect everything in Krishna consciousness. So Mahati, what were you doing? You were in another class?
Yeah.
Okay. So where is Krishna present, Mahati? Where is Krishna? Can you tell me?
Um. In heart.
In the heart. Beautiful. Very good. See, you can get so many different answers here. So God is present in your heart or in your dad's heart or your brother's heart.
Everyone's heart.
Oh, really? How do you know that? Have you seen?
No.
But how do you know that God is present in everyone's heart?
I hear it.
Yes, see? That's a point I want to drive. You heard it. Hearing is an important thing. Not that seeing is always the proof. So thank you very much for bringing that point. God is present in heart. God is present in the temple. God is present everywhere. So let me ask you one question. Maybe this question could be for the older kids, like Ashok Prabhu said. If God is present everywhere, if I'm going to go to bed, go to sleep, right? Where should I put my foot? Because showing your feet to someone's face or someone is disrespectful, correct? You all agree?
Yes.
Okay. So if God is present everywhere, if I'm going to go to sleep tonight, where should I place my foot? Because if I sleep on the northern side, the opposite south side is going to be my foot. God is present there. East means west. West means east. So what am I supposed to do? Should I, close with socks and cover myself and bend myself and sleep in a different angle? Something to think about. You don't need to answer. Next class for you to just think. God is present everywhere. Okay. Any other topic? I haven't checked the chanting log yet recently. I'm hoping the chanting log is going on. Everyone is chanting. This 4 months. We already completed 2 months, another 2 months to go. And also this year, Adhika Masa. Adhika Masa means we have an additional month called Purushottam month, which is comes once in a while. It's very special month. So on the Purushottam month, you all can read 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if possible, every day. That is Purushottama Yoga. You can add that as one of the item if you can do. I will give you the dates and when it starts and so forth. If there is no other further questions, discussions, I hope everyone is safe and taking care, whatever you need to do. Ashok Prabhu, back to you.
Prabhu, I don't have anything else to add. I hope everybody is doing well.
Yeah. And if you have any question, another thing is at least we have a question and answer session in our Saturdays. But I just want to offer or tell this one. If you have any questions on daily Bhagavad Gita, kindly you can ask in this class also, or you can send an email asking the questions. And we have another thought. Ravi and myself are working out to separate Gita into a Telegram rather than WhatsApp. So we are trying to work out that. So the Bhagavad Gita, daily Bhagavad Gita will be posted in Telegram app, and then the WhatsApp will continue to be our mode of communication for Bhagavatam and other things. Because
Okay.
there's an advantage of using Telegram. There are many advantages, especially when you're uploading or sharing things. So
Okay.
once that is ready, So those who are listening to Bhagavad Gita every day, you can kindly join that group. Until then, we'll continue posting in WhatsApp.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day and weekend. Thank you.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Okay, what's your question?
So in the Kanakadasa story, why didn't the Guru and the disciples know that Kanakadasa was seeing Krishna everywhere, and why didn't the disciples know that Krishna was seeing the disciples too?
See, nice question you asked, Rukmini. So first part of the question is, the Guru knows very well that Kanakadasa is a wonderful devotee. Guru knows about his disciple. That is why Guru wants to show Kanakadasa how great he is to other disciples. That's why he really conducted this test to show the greatness of Kanakadasa. Okay, so Guru knows. You got the first answer?
Yes.
Okay. The second answer is, second question that you asked is, Kanakadasa could see God everywhere, and why didn't the disciples can see God everywhere? Correct?
Correct.
Nice question. I really like that question. Are we able to see God everywhere?
No.
Why?
Because he's
Daivihi Isha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhuratyaya. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says there's a covering. He covers us. And the only way that covering can be removed is prapatyante, surrender to Krishna. If you surrender to Krishna sincerely, we can see Krishna everywhere. It is just our level of surrender to Krishna. He reveals himself to us accordingly. So you really have to pray to Krishna, so you can also see Krishna presence everywhere. Likewise, let me finish it. Likewise, the disciples of that Guru, they were not bad. They were not bad guys, but they are in the right track. But they have to work on it. Therefore, they theoretically understood Krishna's presence everywhere, but they couldn't see Krishna everywhere. So the first thing is to be humble. You have to develop a quality of humility, being humble and being Lord's servant, servant of servant. That we want to serve the devotees, we want to serve the Lord. That's the mood one has to develop. By that one, Trinadapi Sunechena Taro Reva Saheshana Amanina Manadina Kirtanaya Sadahari. By doing that, you will be able to chant very nicely. By chanting very nicely, our bad qualities will go away. Once the bad qualities are gone away, that means Rajas and Tamas are gone, we'll come to the platform of Sattva Guna. When we come into the platform of Sattva Guna, then we start seeing everything equally as energies of Krishna. And it is possible. Okay, you got it?
Yes, but then why didn't the disciples didn't have that much faith on Krishna?
They had faith. They had faith, but there are different levels of faith. Different levels of faith. So they are in the beginning stage of faith. They will also become completely faith. The maturity of faith will increase, but it will take some time for them. Kanakadasa was already in a great devotee, therefore he can be like that. So it doesn't mean that they don't have faith. It is just because of their maturity and the practices, their sadhana. So therefore, when you chant, Rukmini, when you chant a quality rounds, not walking around, talking around, doing this. So you have to really chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, like that. So if you follow what Krishna says, Guru says, then you follow perfectly, then you can have see Krishna. Likewise, the disciple, if they follow what Guru said correctly, they can also see Krishna everywhere. Okay, Rukmini?
Okay.
All right. If you have any further follow-up question, we can speak offline. Okay. I mean, offlining meaning after the class. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.